when those glaciers melted back into the Arctic cap, and that's what made today on a map what we call the Scandinavian countries of Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland. They're the bare land left over after the last ending of the Ice Age, as the world was warming. So it may very well be that all or a good part of whatever climate change that may be occurring, which in some minds is still an open question, may just be the natural cycles of the world. And attempting to limit what men do with industrial or other manufacturing activities may have only minor or inconsequential effect in the greater force of what the Earth in its own changing patterns and trends is following. The same way you can't control tsunamis, you can't control earthquakes. The planet just has its natural forces. Now what should be our response? Well, let us take the extreme hypothesis, just for the sake of the argument, that basically human actions are having minimal or nothing to do with climate change. So what do? If you're worried that sea levels may rise in certain areas, that might change farming and crop patterns in certain parts of the globe, what affect temperatures during summer or winter, but man is not causing it, so he can't change his behavior to prevent it. Like literally. You build dams to keep water away. The Chinese, several years ago, built what's called the Three Gorge Dam along the Yangtze River. This was a monumental project. Why? Because the waters would be coming down from the Himalayas on times of severe winters with a lot of snow, and they would cause floods throughout central China. So they built these three gorges dam to control the water flows. Man adapts to the environment over which, in the global sense, he has less or limited or no control. And how do you create incentives or motives for this adaptation? A primary one is to create property rights in various pieces of land and real estate and other assets, so people have an incentive. Well, if there is a natural change in the climate, or whether man is causing part of it or not, the fact is that it's going to have an impact on my land, my property, my assets, where I live. And since I would prefer not to have those negative effects, I now have an incentive to do things with the changed environment to preserve and conserve and maintain that which I have. In other words, you put self-interest to work for people as individuals and groups and communities of property owners to find solutions to what may or may not turn out to be a climate change problem affecting different people in different ways, perhaps, in different parts of the world. But the adaptation will be made better and simpler and more effective if individuals have property rights and therefore self-interested motivations to do so. The other thing that is important with property rights is to determine how resources should be allocated. You know, a lot of people talk about nature areas, wildlife areas, preserving natural areas. I have nothing against natural wildlife areas. I've been to the Grand Canyon in Arizona. I've been to Yosemite Park in California. I've seen the Niagara Falls on the Canadian-U.S. border. I've been to Switzerland, and I've enjoyed the natural beauty of the Alps. Okay. The question is that what out of all of these things are worth preserving, and at what cost? Should we preserve every acre of land in Yosemite? Should we preserve in absolute pristine condition the Grand Canyon in Arizona? Or any other such piece of natural beauty? Well, it depends. It depends on what people value. The fact is, land has alternative uses. Okay, your island here is not what it was 200 years ago. Someone could have said 200 years ago, look how beautiful the island is. It's in a state of natural beauty. Just a very small population, simple and unoffending structures and buildings. Let's preserve the island. Well, then there'd be none of this today. And by the way, where would you be? Right? Because that's not been out there since 200 or 300 years ago, right? That's all been built since then. This building has been, why should this building be here? Was this not on some natural area on the island? Couldn't someone have defined this as an area of natural beauty or untouched land that should be preserved for future generations? Why this building here? Because land is a scarce resource. And people must make choices as to how to use it given the competing and alternative uses. People do want a place to live. People want a place to shop. People need places to work. People need places to have education. And people enjoy places of natural beauty. Why do tourists come here? Which is what? Practically your primary source or largest source of revenue in general. It's because, and so what is it? People build these hotel facilities. They try to maintain the beaches. They make it aesthetically attractive. So people want to come here and enjoy the sun, a nice beach, play in the water, and look at some palm trees. I'm staying in a house right outside the house. Some friends are letting me stay in the house they have. So it's on the beach. I go out. That's how I became Mr. Tomato. And I'm lying on the beach, and I'm looking up, and there's a palm tree there with coconuts on it. I can't see that in Michigan. So is every part of the island covered with buildings for shopping centers or hotel buildings? No. There's a positive desire to maintain a portion of the natural beauty because it has value that people will pay to see and enjoy. So how much should be kept for this purpose or that purpose? That's the purpose of the market. And remember that I've used the term the market many times, and it's come up in some question and answers. But the market is ultimately no more than the composite, the sort of summary statement of the interactions of the multitudes of all of us as individuals, as buyers and sellers. As buyers and sellers. That's what the market is. If land is more valued for a particular use, for some shopping facility, then that's what the land gets used for. If because of some natural area, it's viewed to be more valuable for tourist attraction to have in a more natural appearance with some hotels up on the hill so people have a place to stay and look down and enjoy it, that's what the land is used for. If land has some has some value as a forest, it will stay as a forest. A lot of people say, but why will people preserve forests? Why won't they cut down all the trees today and just enjoy the revenue, reap the revenue from selling all the lumber, the timber today? Well, the point is, if you cut down all the trees today, how do you earn a living tomorrow? What do you have to sell? That is why in private forests, it is normally the case that the owners, whether it be a private individual or a corporation, they plan ahead, not just years ahead, decades ahead. They're anticipating what will be the market for wood-based products 2 or 3 decades ahead. So when they cut down a row of trees, they replant a row of trees, or sometimes more than a row, precisely guided by the profit motive. The demand for wood-based products will be greater in 20 years. So if we have more trees 20 years from now than we have today, we're going to be able to generate more revenue. So while I'm cutting down a row of trees today to sell, I'm replacing it with 2 rows planted so that 20 years from now. And of course, it's staggered like that.